Welcome to Foodcast. Today we have here with us Raphael Marranghello. He is a recruiter.
That's right.
And specialized in recruiting chefs.
That's correct. Correct. Yeah. I'm part of the Broadline Group, which is a company called Chef Recruiters. It's one of the umbrellas from the Broadline Group that specialized only in chefs. So we recruit only for chefs. So it's some funny stories along the way. So
that's great.
Yeah.
And what's your weapon of choice today?
So today we have here a lovely wine from Tuscany. It's Italian wine, 1967.
Grifoni,
Yeah.
Toscana. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, tell us how you get where you are now. Like how you become like a recruiter for chefs.
Well, funny enough, I actually landed on this field by accident. Basically, I didn't expect to be a recruiter. I used to work in hospitality.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then
all right.
Over the pandemic and all, I just decided to change my career and get a little bit more structure. I previously always worked in sales back in Brazil, where I'm from, and I wanted to give it a go and try something different, something new.
Yeah.
So I started looking for a job. So it was kind of open. I wanted to change, and the recruiter from my company, I reached out to the company. No, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So the recruiter that works alongside me now in one of the other branches in the Broadline, she reached out to me and we had a conversation over the phone for I believe it was an hour conversation, and I was explaining to her, my background and what I was looking for and what would be ideal for me. And she thought that I would be good in sales, and I wanted to try, and she wanted to look for a job for me in sales. So
yeah.
A few days later, my boss, the owner of the company, the managing director of the company, reached out to me. I didn't even know who she was, and thank you, Ricardo.
Welcome.
So I didn't even know who she was, and again, we had a conversation. She invited me into the office. Then I like the company. She likes my personality, and she offered me. Cheers. And she offered me a position there. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's nice.
She offered me a position as a recruiter, and I decided to give it a go. And
that was in the middle of the pandemic.
It was.
Or in the beginning?
No, it was towards the end. So I'm with the company for a year and a bit. So it was August last year, I think.
Just in the third lockdown.
Yeah. It was around. Yeah, we're kind of coming out of it and in and out. So yeah, it was a bit challenging.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting. Like, it was different, It was completely different. I had never been in an office environment. And
really?
Well, no, here in Ireland, no, yeah. So it was quite interesting to be in a different environment. But it was very challenging and very nice.
And what's the biggest challenge for you in your new role?
Well, I guess it was understanding a bit more the order markets. I come from restaurants, and I became successful in the hospitality industry, but in a hotel, in a restaurant. So I didn't know much about catering, hotels. So understand a little bit more the market and outside Dublin, which was my area where I always been, and I lived always in Dublin. So I started open up a little bit more to the countryside and understanding a little bit more the market. That was quite challenging.
And you start to get more broad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then obviously learning a more in depth about every position in the chefing world, and understanding what each chef does and what's their responsibilities and duties and stuff like that. So, but it was
because
very
the
good.
structure, you need to understand all that structure.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's been very challenging the moment you got in this new role, because basically before the pandemic we used to have about 60,000 people in Ireland work in the industry, and now we have just shy above 20,000.
That's right. Yeah.
And for you probably it's very stressful to have this kind of environment. You don't have where to actually take people to replace somewhere or where people actually need.
Well, yes and no. Yeah, there is a shortage, obviously, and it's in general, and I think it's all over the world. It's not only in Ireland, but I think, you know, if you do a good job and you do your best for both sides, for the client and for the candidate, I think, you know, there is always people looking for a job and clients looking for chefs, you know. So it's just a matter of understanding what are people's needs and matching that with the client. So we can sit down and say, you know, and that's there is no chefs out there, and I thankfully being over a year there in the company, and I'm being very successful throughout the year, and I have nothing to complain about, and I managed to help a lot of people throughout this year and a half.
So what you're trying to say is like there's no shortage. It's just trying to match the right people in the right place.
It's not that what I'm saying is not there isn't obviously there is a shortage. It's not that there isn't a shortage, but it's about the way you look at things. So if you manage to get the right person to the right job, and the jobs that are putting out there are matching what people are looking for, it's easier to do. Obviously, there is circumstances and type of jobs that are harder to fill than other jobs. But you know, it's all a matter of, like, you know, on our perspective, I wanted to help everybody, but I know for a fact that I can't help everybody, and I can't. So I do my best to help as much people as I can, you know. So there is always people coming in. So as a recruiter, if you're not successful, you're not looking in the right place.
Yes,
that's what my view. It's not that there isn't a shortage.
And what's your main challenge at the moment? Which positions are being the most challenged to fill?
I think the junior side, I believe it's a bit more challenging when you're talking about commis chefs and even chef de parties. Throughout, you know, COVID, a lot of people left the country, and a lot of people didn't come back, and the ones that came back because of the shortage, and people wanted to open, and they were so in need of chefs. They were promoting and throwing money at people, that they promote people that are not ready to become a sous chef, and they all expected that. So then you know for a fact that you're getting a guy that doesn't have the experience needed, but because they were so short staffed, they had to take them on board.
What's backfiring now?
Exactly, but it was, you know, everybody knew that, but at the time that there was no option, because they needed to open, and there was no enough staff to open the place. So it's either taken on board and open the doors, and then sorted out the problem down the line, or don't open the door and try to maintain the same way it was before.
So now we already passed to the first wave, let's say like that, open.
Yeah,
everyone's open, everyone had their business running. Now the second problem is those guys people promoted, including myself and in other places. I promote people, they weren't there, but for as you said, like, you had to promote.
Otherwise you lose the staff. Right?
Yeah, it's better to have like a bird in your hand than another one fly, or you know, like whatever flying. I don't know how to what's the expression, if you know what I mean. So I don't want to lose somebody, but at the same time, like if I do not promote, I'm gonna lose. So now there are loads of people out there. They believe they are ready, and they actually are not. And then you can see in the CV the way I'm seeing. I don't know. Like that's something I want to ask you as well. Like how you like. Let me finish that thought first. So now with those problems, are you seeing people coming back to look for something they are not ready, and then how are you dealing with that? Because you can see somebody was CDP or coming chef and suddenly become a sous chef for 6 months and then is asking you for a job, or jump for 2-3 jobs as a sous chef, and they keep looking for a job, and then you need to recruit that person and pass to somebody, because your job is make sure if those people you retain longer, that's how the business works for you guys.
Yeah.
If you do not retain, literally is sorry the language, but it's piss in the wind. How you can
it's not
deal with those people?
Yeah, it's not sustainable for both sides. You know,
Yes.
it's something that it's not what we're looking for. You know, like the Broadline Group is very successful in all the all the areas that we are in, and I believe that the reason we are successful is we have a different approach when we are sourcing candidates. So I understand exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you. And throughout the pandemic, you're looking at CVs and you see a lot of movement as well. People changing.
You decline the candidate.
We don't. I will never decline the candidate unless if there is a bad reference on the candidate. So then we don't represent that candidate.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't decline the candidate. I have an honest and open conversation with that candidate and with the client too, so that that he understands that it might be not at the level he thinks he is at or he's looking for, and with all the greatest respect to the candidates, but we need to be very conscious about where we put in that person as well, because it could be, you know, going to a kitchen that it's a different speed, it's a different environment, that you're gonna damage the candidate sending to the wrong place as well. So we need to be very conscious about where we are sending that person and what level that person is, and be very open and honest, because obviously we want to avoid and want to match what are the needs on both sides for the client and the candidate. So it's pointless for us to send someone that are not going to match the expectations. So we need to manage expectations in both sides. So that's, I think, is the trickiest part of our job, because you have, in one hand you have the client, and the other hand you have the candidate, and you need to manage both expectations. So we do have, you know, interviews with all the candidates. So we always, every candidate we represent, we have a conversation first, and that's where you identify all these points that you are saying. We identify why he moved, and especially when you see after COVID and you see that jump. Sometimes I get CVs and I'm looking at it, and he was a CDP and now he's a head chef. And I'm like, okay, how did that happen? You know, and sometimes it could be genuine, you know, like they just away. So chefs have a big problem of putting CVs together, right?
Yes.
So sometimes you look at CVs and you're looking at it and you see few months here, few months there, few months there. Obviously, we are in the industry, so we know that they are in the same group. They're just moving.
Yeah.
Between the group in different restaurants, but the way they put the TV together, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, it feels like
if you don't know.
If you don't know the industry,
exactly,
yes.
You don't know. You're like, why are you 3 months here, 5 months there, and 6 months there? And it's the same way with the positions. You know, sometimes you look CDP and then you see head chef, but then that person was there for a couple of years and he moved throughout these years. He grew into head chef position, so that's a different. So that's all the things that we need to identify when we are interviewing that candidate, and that's why I think the Broadline is very successful what we do, because we take very serious the introduction with the candidate, and doing the interviews, doing the reference checks, making sure that candidate is compliant to go to a client, and that's where we are very successful, because I'm able to identify that, and I come from hospitality, so I have a good understanding about the restaurant industry and the hospitality industry itself. So it makes it easier to us to identify that.
I have a question. When you interview, everyone lies in their CVs. There are loads of people, they will not say the truth. And I will not say the truth, they hide the truth.
Yeah.
Normally, I analyze a lot. I
Right.
think a lot.
Right.
So when I see a CV, I depend the position I'm looking for. But like normally, let's say senior positions, I normally start to look at the CV. I start to see what you describe in your CV. The moment I see a CV, the guy has like 20 years experience, but it's basically, I work here from date X to Y and head chef, and keep jumping. You see a lot of that in CVs.
Yeah.
And then when I see a senior and I see something like that, I see somebody's more operational. By experience, I see as that person is operational. But when I start to see there's loads of descriptions, like saying, I used to do this, that's how much turnover had, more information, I see somebody's more technical than actually operational. Do you feel that there is any tricks you start to see in the CVs, raw CVs, not the ones you guys afterwards, because you guys normally not made up, but like you guys, sorry, wrong word, made up. You guys fluff a little the CV to look better or written better, because there's loads of, like, chefs are chefs. They're not like writers.
Yeah.
So you're gonna see like, I work in this place for X amount of years. I used to do this, and then you guys go there and guide them to do a better CV, correct?
So we tailor the CV in that case
to be more attractive as well.
To be more attractive, to be in a better way to understand the CV, understand the knowledge.
But
so we do help them on that side. Yeah.
You guys analyze the CV. I know, like, I'm a little bit weird in that way. I analyze in such a way to see what the person did before, and to understand if that person will work in that job per se because he's more operational. That's the way I check my CVs. I don't know. You guys do that?
It's a very tricky question in a sense, because I don't think, and it's solely my opinion on it. I don't think you can analyze and evaluate a paper.
Yes.
So for instance, I can type anything I want on a CV.
Yeah.
And I can make as attractive as you want that CV to be.
Yeah.
Right. But you can fake an interview. You
Correct.
can. Knowledge is not something that you're gonna get out of paper. So reading that paper is not gonna give you that knowledge. You need the experience in acting in the role and seeing the day to day. And that's where I don't think analyzing the CV. Obviously, there is reasonable CVs that we look at it and we know for the fact that that's not going to be any match, or there is no experience whatsoever. But I tend to give everyone a chance. So I will reach out to every person that applies for a role out of respect, first of all, and also to give a personal opportunity, because not everybody knows how to type a CV, and the same way some people hire a company to type in that CV, and when you go through in detail, you know that they don't have that knowledge.
Yeah, they didn't actually roll to what's saying there.
Exactly. So I believe that screening a CV, the more effective way to do is talking to people.
So talking part, yes, that's the part. Because for me, sometimes what recruitment come in my mind is your product is the chef you're sending to us, to the restaurants.
That's correct, yeah.
And in the same time, you can't sell something. You just describe in a beautiful way to say, if the CV is just the lines, and then you send a guy, his English is broken, he will not be able to describe what he wrote there. It's like do not match. And then need to be like the way you said it, is when you see face to face and talk to the person will give you the better description. I agree, but like as I said, people will lie. When I get in interviews, the way I see is like HR could do exactly the job you're doing, but HR goes in a way I dislike. You guys normally goes in a better way, because you show exactly the ugly truth. Say, look, this guy can cook, but he can't write. You know, like, and then the HR will look in a way, say, that guy is not good at all. But for us, sometimes I just need somebody who can cook. But that being said, when I go for interviews, I have my ways to try to get knowledge without the person lying to me. If they're a team player, if they have angry issues, or how their personality is. You guys have any trick or any way to tell us like how you do to understand the person in that way? Let's say, I'll give an example. A CV, the guy do not last more than a year or a year, 2 months in a job. And he's in the trade for 12, 15 years. How you would see that? Because that's not good for you as well, because the guy will not last more than a year.
Absolutely, yeah. So
how you can get that information from him?
I suppose it's all about like everyone will have different ways to gain information from people. Obviously, you have key questions that you ask to understand better. But I think everybody has their different ways. You know, like some people are very good of making people comfortable. And when people are a bit more comfortable, they tend to be more truthful. And it depends on how you approach. It's a psychology game.
Do you have any nuggets you could give us? You can try on me.
You see, like, no, it's not. I don't think you know. There is a secret, okay,
yeah.
and there is obviously key words and key questions. They could help with, but I don't think there's such a thing as a secret. I think it's more how curious you are and how interested in that person you are. So and how like as much interest you take to whoever you are in front of you, and to understand and listen to people. That's very important. Listen to people. Is they are there to talk about themselves. I'm not there to talk about me, about my job. I'm listening to them, and that's very important. And I think it's just care about whoever is in front of you. You know, whoever took that time to be in front of you for that 1 hour 45 minutes. Care about them.
Do you have any like to segregate chefs in a sense? There is some stereotypes of chefs I see throughout my career, and I can say, oh, this is the kind of chef is a moaner. He will do it, he will work, but he'll be moaning. This one is he stay quiet, and then he just will do the job. And then that one talks more than anything, but he will do X, Y, Z. Like I'm the talker. I talk. If you see me quiet, that's what I say to everyone. Look, guys, if you see me quiet, is when you need to be worried. Not when I'm talking. It's when I'm quiet. It's the opposite. Because I'm quite vocal. And when I'm in the kitchen, I talk my ideas. I keep saying to people, I'll go around talk to myself.
Yeah.
And at some stage, people just become like a white noise in the sense of, okay, the chef is talking to himself, not directly to me, and they understand what's going on. But when I'm quiet in the kitchen, people know, like, I will not joke with him. You know, like.
Yeah.
But what do you see? What's the kinds of chefs you see around there?
I don't like to put a stereotype on people. I don't think is the right thing.
It's just two of us. Nobody's the same chef.
It's you know, obviously like you can identify, you know, some different type of people, you know, and everybody will act and react differently to circumstances. So obviously, like we know that like some of the chefs we are dealing with, they'll be more hands-on and they'll be more when I was in the hospitality, I used to call the soldier in the team, that the one that it's gonna jump in and it's gonna work hard, and but if you ask them to do any of the paperwork side of things, they have no clue. So that's it's more what like we would try to identify. I wouldn't try like I don't put stereotypes, because it's not up to me. Basically, what we're doing is we trying to get as much opportunity as possible for that candidate, and help the clients to fulfill what they actually need in the kitchen, and help everybody in that sense. So I think there is always we have a saying in Brazil, and that there's always a flip flop for every shoe, so for every foot.
There's different. Always has a shoe for the right size of feet or something like that.
It's something like that, So you're always gonna find a home. That's my way of thinking, and thankfully that's the way I became successful. What I do is always, caring about the people that are taking the time and speaking with myself, and giving all my attention when they are in front of me, and trying to do my best to help them. Obviously, unfortunately, we're not able to help everybody, but I'll do my best to get as much help as possible. And that's the part that I actually love about it. It's helping people.
Did you have to have any training or anything, like you said, like do you have it's kind of like it is a psychological kind of job, because you need to read people. You're learn to read people as well. It's not, and like now with COVID, back in the day before COVID, all this kind of interview or anything of the kind would be face to face, and nowadays is all online, and sometimes you've never seen the face of the person. You see a CV, you talk on the phone, and it's very is different as it used to be. I'm kind of old school in that sense. Like I start always my interviews on the phone, and I always want to do a face to face, because you have that feeling.
The connection and the body language and everything.
Did you have to do any training or anything of the kind to when you got the job, or they?
Obviously, when I joined the Broadline Group, I definitely had training, and they have the best team out there, and the best people working in the group, and there's so much knowledge, and they're so good what they do, and they're so successful that it's so much easier for you to understand the process and learn. It makes my life so much easier, and I'm so grateful for that. My manager David is an incredible guy. He has a vast knowledge in the industry. He has been doing that for many years. My MD is one of the best sales women I ever come across, and she's great, and she has massive knowledge in the industry. She's been in the industry for 20 years.
She knows everyone.
She knows everybody. She knows everything, and she has an incredible memory as well. So it's. I was very blessed to join that team, and very blessed to land in this company that is so successful. So made my success easy. There is training involved, but obviously, like I come from hospitality, which makes easier for us to understand the process in the kitchen, understand how the business is run, and understand how a restaurant operates, and a hotel operates, and the kitchen operates. So that is one of the things. My background before that was all in sales.
What kind of sales you used to work?
I used well.
If you don't mind to say, yeah.
Yeah, I did. I did. Well, I did a few different ones. To be honest, like I'm working since I'm 16 in Brazil, and
Which part of Brazil you come from?
I'm come from Porto Alegre in the south of Brazil.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah. So I did a few different. Like the last one that I was doing before I moved to Ireland, I was working with as selling houses and
cool.
and estate agent.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. It was very successful at it, and funny enough, the idea was just to come over to Ireland and stay here for a year and go back and work with people, foreigners in that case, people coming from Europe, America, and sell apartments and investment properties to Americans and all that coming to Brazil. And here I am 12 years later.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah. I came here for to stay 2 years.
Yeah.
That was my plan. Yeah.
But yeah, so then I always been training with people and training how to deal with people and understanding I have these curiosity in me, and I love to talk to people. I love to listen to people and learn their history, their stories and all. So I think that helps, in a sense.
Like I always get like some weird people around, right? Don't need to put names there,
right?
And then that's the part I think is the interest to have you here. Is I always try to read people a lot. Like I would say like I'm terrible to read people. So I had to learn and study a lot to get where I got, because I went to many years ago to a symposium, and I remember the guy just said, cooking is not enough. For me, that was my turning point. I used to, back then I was in Gordon Ramsay, and I was there. Yeah, I don't remember. So anyway, I said, yeah, that's true. So and then there was just when the iPhone started to come out, this kind of stuff, and then start to, like nowadays, my best chef is in my pocket all the time. Back my time, I had to have a booklet in my pocket and keep writing recipes. Now, whatever recipe, like that, you get like 100 of recipes, whatever you Google.
Yeah.
So when I get chefs now, I'm not worried about if they can cook. I can teach cooking. Cooking is easy. My point is, can you deal with people? How you do it? And like, it's very easy to see a nice CV, but in the end of the day, the person can't communicate with other people.
Yeah.
And then that's worries me a lot. And normally I use some tricks to ask, like, example, do you like football? What's your favorite sport?
My football, yeah. Football would be, yeah. Football would be.
And what else?
Not really. No, I run. I like to run. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like to run. That's
which sports do you like?
So sports.
Yeah, for you, leisure. Yeah, for
leisure is running.
Running,
yeah.
And to watch or anything, do you like?
Not much. Like I used to watch a lot of football back in Brazil when I was there, but then with time difference.
Did you play or anything?
I did when I was younger. Yeah.
Now, which position you used to play?
In the front, in the attack.
Strike.
Yeah, strike.
Yeah. Yes. Do you like to read?
I do. Yeah, I do like to read. Yeah.
What's the last book you read?
Well, I was reading a book called Get Hard from David Goggins.
What's it about?
It's about his history, his life. He's a life coach. He was a soldier for many years.
Yeah.
And he's very impressive the way he approached life. Like his history is very interesting, and he's very successful in everything that he ever done. He became an ultra marathon runner, and
wow.
Yeah, he's very.
And that's
successful.
where you got to the running part. Do you like, or is something just make you feel?
Yeah,
connected?
like I mean, I got into running through friends. There's a friend of mine that he runs marathons, and then another. It's a group of friends, and one of them we just basically for health reasons was like, okay, let's do something. I had an injury last year, and that actually changed a little bit my perspective, and I needed to get a bit more exercising. So we spoke to this friend, and we start, just for leisure, running, and then we just fell in love with it, and now we're doing we just run half marathon. So we're training to do. We're gonna do another half marathon now in November, the end of November, and then we're gonna do the Dublin Marathon hopefully next year. So just got into it, and it just feels good, just
you
clear
run every
your mind.
week or like
I run three times a week at least. And
by yourself or with the friends?
It depends. Sometimes I go after work I go to the gym and doing at the gym, and then on the weekends we got together and then we do it together, and and try to do it that way, but not every time. But
I have one more question: is what kind of movie you like?
What kind of? I'm very easygoing, to be fair. I would watch everything, to be honest. Series, movies. There's no specific. I like action movies and drama movies, and I can watch anything, to be honest. I'm not very fussy when it comes to movie. I would watch whatever. Just give me a glass of wine and I'm happy with whatever you put on the telly.
Basically, what I just did here is how I interview people.
Yeah.
And normally people just look at me and say, "What are you doing?" I remember when I did that many years ago when I was in Cassie, and then I just asking random questions, like they interview a head chef, and they're "Oh, can you do QPRs? Can you do these? Can you check GPs? Can you interview people?" And I said, "What kind of movie you like?" And they said, "Ricardo, what the fork you're talking about? Are you out of your mind?" But that's questions people do not expect in an interview, and get them out of not comfort zone or like that, because you prepare yourself to go for an interview. Like today, I prepared myself to come here, and I knew what to ask, how I need to do it, what I need to say. I prepare myself. So I could know. Sorry, I was stalking you in the social media, so understand who you are better.
Of course, yeah.
So I can interact better. That's me. So I go deep when I interview. It doesn't matter who. I always go deep. And I come with those questions because the person do not expect. So they put the guard down and they say who they are. And the first question about do you like sports? I remember one guy came and said, no, I like to play video game. And I said, what kind of games? Shooting games, or all the kind of games is just a first person game, if it makes sense to you.
Right.
So when you get that was the first question. That one was one of the most. Second, I said, what kind of book you read?
If I may interrupt you there, so first person game. So what conclusion does that make? To you, what would that?
There is three angles. I will use yourself to answer all that, and I use that extremely case I got. Okay. Yeah. So the second question was book. And he said, "Oh no, I'm reading books to open business, how you do it." I said, "Okay." And the third one was what kind of sport you like, and then was the part of he saying, if I had to do, I'd like to swim or run. I said, "Okay, how you have your friends, you swim together?" No, by myself. I said, "Okay, do you run together or anything?" No. So what shows me that guy, he's individualist and he looks after himself. He's number one. He don't care about the team. Work in a kitchen, as I say to everyone, is like football. You work with the chin up. Mm-hmm. You can't just look down and I'm doing my station. I don't care about the team. That happen a lot in the kitchen. So when I look around, I said the guy need to have chin up. Look around, see if somebody needs something, talk to people, etc., etc. That's the way I see it in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And that guy, of course, never passed through the even second interview. Didn't have
So
like,
your conclusion on it is he wouldn't be a team player.
correct.
And
And
if he was an introverted people, like if you're a
there is
person.
no issue with that. My issue with him after that wasn't like just being like just look at after myself. When he said about the books,
Right.
I want to open my own business, and I'm looking at that after what I can learn. And I look and say, okay, that guy's coming here just to like a leech, learn the things. Do not play ball with the guys because there's difference. And then come the part of the movie.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The movie is something reads me a lot, indirectly. Example, when I used to interview me and my wife for au pairs, we used to ask which princess you like the most from the Disney universe, and I tell you a lot. When you start to, if you go down, I would say, guys, please go and Google princesses in the Disney world. What actually say about the people, and that's amazing. You see, it's really cool. It's the same for the chefs and same for like movies. Like you said, action. That means you like something. It needs something going on. Like you don't like to be like quiet. Like I like romance. Somebody who just stay there in the corner is luggishing around. I like drama. So need to be careful. If it's the first answer is drama and romance, stay away.
Yeah.
Because that person will just like romanticize the things and dramatize the things. Like when you said, I like to run. It's a single sport, yes. But when you start to explain and say with passion the way you said, you start to say, because I run with my friends, we have that together, da, 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 da. And then like as well, like I used to play football and as a striker. That means you want to be there in the front. You're the kind of person who'll be in the front there. You'll be the first person literally to pass through anything. If you're working in the kitchen, if I'm interviewed for a chef, I say, okay, that's a great person. Somebody will be there leading to go in the front. The chefs I'm looking for, head chefs, or they like to work strikers, or they like to work in the midfield. The best chefs that I have normally, they are the kind of people say, I like to work in the midfield, in the middle. It's like a Dunga, for football. Yeah, that's the guy who'll be there and go.
And what about let's say, what about if you get a person that it doesn't play sports or doesn't like sports?
And then normally I would say, do you play video games? Do you play board games?
Yeah.
I always try to go to something competitive because that shows their inner person.
Yeah.
Who is important to me.
Right.
And that's the part like, I like to play Risk. I like to play Monopoly. Is somebody extremely competitive. I like to play Jenga. And like, okay, Jenga, everyone likes to play Jenga. But Jenga is like more a toss of a coin. So it's more sociable. Like when you get like Risk or Monopoly, somebody will be more cutthroat.
Yeah, it's a way to analyze, and as I said, I think like everybody will have different ways to analyze. I think on my perspective, I do believe that I tend to not try to put stereotypes. I think that given everybody a chance and giving opportunity, I think is very important. And as I said before, we might have in our perspective, it's going to be different than the way you're hiring for than what we are hiring, because obviously you are specific for one type of role, one type of place. And when I interview a candidate, I have a range of places that I'm thinking for him for, and a range of options that that I could potentially introduce that candidate to that would be different streams and different ways of.
Yeah, your range is way more broad than
So,
actually
yeah. So,
where you try to hire.
Yeah. So
like
the
myself.
way the way I would try to interview that, it would be like trying to understand a little bit more about that individual, but not in a sense of analyzing that individual. Just understand their passion, understand what they're looking for, and if that person is in a chef job now with the motivation to become a business owner, I think that's great. I think that we need to get more people this way, and this is in all sides. When I used to work in the hospitality, I would love to get people like that. So I used to manage a few restaurants here, and I would love to get I'd love to get the guys that will come over to me and say that they are ambitious, they want to get my job. I love that, and I would train them to get my job. Yes. And I actually end up doing that. I move to a different part of the company, and then I put one of the guys that I train into my position, and that feels like when I was once in the hospitality, will fulfill me. That mission accomplished, and I love to develop people, and I think everybody needs an opportunity, and everybody will be different in a way. There's no. It's very difficult to put a way, with people will be A, B, or C. No, you might gonna have a E, a D that might be joining with the A type of people.
Yeah,
but they will blend in. I think the team has to have different stereotypes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
To blend, everybody blends in. So it's a different way we analyze. Again, the way you're gonna analyze a candidate is gonna be different. That's why we come into place. Because before I waste your time on anything, I always have a conversation with yourself before, and I'm okay, what you need and what you're looking for. I have this type of person, though I don't know if they're gonna be suitable for. So we kind of do the meat of the game,
Yes.
So we try to organize that, because obviously it's a fast-paced environment, yourself, and you don't have time to waste, and we don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste the candidate's time. So we need to do as efficient as we can our job, and understanding what exactly that candidate is looking for, to try to avoid that. But it's more in a professional way.
But now come to that delicate moment.
Let me have another glass here. So delicate moment. I have another sip here.
I top you up. Nowadays, what I'm seeing the most in the places is.
Thank you.
Oh, welcome. Probably I need to top up myself. Okay, done. Jesus Christ, that's way too much. Yeah. Nowadays, a good example. I interviewed two ladies 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Coming chef.
Yeah.
It's like gold dust. Those.
Yeah.
No, nowadays, yeah.
Rare breed. Yeah.
So they just finished college, 5 months experience in a catering in City West Dublin, for who doesn't know the area, in a catering company, and they do a mix of commis chef and CSA, or catering assistant, and then they're in a good salary. I told them you're in a good salary, and then. The interview went, lovely ladies, and in the end I looked 5 months experience. I said, why you wanted to move? What I expect when I see a CV is a commis chef need to be 3 years in the same place, because you're gonna learn, you're gonna grow with them. Is the time to understand how the kitchen works. You're there for 5 months, you don't know even how the kitchen works. You're getting in your routine now, and both ladies at separate interviews, and they said, "Oh no, I'm already bored there." And I look, I said, "Okay, that's not a good sign." Okay, and we do too much. I said, "Okay." And they explained their routine, etc. Long story short, I came in. They said, "Look, I have a position for you. I have for you one of them. Both of them live close to one of the properties I have." I said, "Look, it would be great. I'll send you to the head chef, etc. But what's your salary expectation?" And then she came back to me and said, "I want a 14.50 per hour." I said, "What? Your CV here would pay you 12, but since we don't pay 12 because our minimum wage is 12 to wash dishes, for somebody in your entry level, I would pay 12.50." And both of them felt a little bit offended. But at the end of the day, like nowadays, like I can't afford to have somebody there and doesn't know how to hold a knife for 14.50. You know, like 14.50 will pay for a demi chef party somebody with at least a year and a half to 2 years experience. You know, like at least I could say, "Look, make me a Caesar dressing." They would do without a problem. Instead of going and said, "What's a Caesar dressing?
Yeah.
What's a Caesar what?" You know, and like, what do you think about like wages? Because now it's going crazy. People are throwing money at people sometimes. I think now we start to stabilize because I start to notice with the seniors, not the juniors. The seniors, I'm getting the CVs in and I'm offering what I'm paying. They said, "I will not leave where I am because they are paying me the same." So I feel, at least from my perspective, not yours, because you can see way more broad than I do, the salaries for seniors start to get like flatline.
Yeah.
But for juniors, still that crazy money. They are throwing money at people doesn't know how to hold a knife.
But the thing is, I think it all comes down to the shortage, and as we spoke here in the start, it's just the hardest people in the market now at the moment is the more junior candidates. And in a sense, I understand and I get the both side of the game. I understand the business side, and I understand the candidates. So if you put two aside, obviously from a business perspective, you have other costs in the business that you need to match, and wages it's a very important part in a business. And if you can't be paying people too much, otherwise it's gonna cost you too much to run the business, and you're gonna close your doors. So I think it's a more political conversation in a sense, because I do understand the candidate side of things as well. Because if you think about, if we're talking about inflation now, you know, we surpass 10%, you know, and you're here for a long time as well. So if you think about 10 years ago, you used to get 300, 350. You used to live well. You used to get by and live nice. It
was a decent life.
A decent lifestyle. Nowadays, you can't afford to stay in the country if you make 300.
What do you think is the properties? Because now in the moment, like what the government was saying is like they never sold so many properties as before. But in the same time, is they are selling the properties was actually for rent. And now, like the renting market is getting pressed, and the price is skyrocketing.
Yeah,
and I do understand.
There's a shortage. There's no properties out there.
Yeah,
at the moment. So.
Yeah, I think the problem is the rent, not actually the food or the increase of 10%. The salaries are people are paying fairly. The minimum wage is 10.80, and people are like the company I work for.
The minimum wage went up, but the thing is,
we went up in January.
In January, yeah.
But like now, a majority of the companies I'm seeing around, they are paying minimum 12, and that's €1.20 more than actually minimum wage.
So if you analyze the real cost of living here, and to have a reasonable living in this country now, you're talking about 14.50. That would be should be the minimum wage, right? So. It's a very tricky.
Because like, sorry to interrupt you, but like now, if you go in that line That somebody will need to give. I don't know who
Absolutely,
you're gonna
yeah.
give, because if I pay a coming chef 14.50, that's what I agree in a sense to say, okay, it's fair. A KP I need to pay 14 euros now. And then on top of that, my demi chef de partie will say, oh, that's not fair. I want a 17, 16 per hour. And go 16. And then my CDP will say, okay, I have like 5, 6, 10 years experience. I want a 20 an hour.
Absolutely.
And then my
It's
sous
a
chef
snowball.
is
Yeah.
a snowball. And somebody will need to pay that bill. And like restaurants are closing now because they
Yeah.
can't open doors.
Yeah.
Like many people don't understand, but like sometimes to open a catering business or like a restaurant, doesn't matter what, is literally you work for the business and you make like the same salary if you work for somebody else. In the end of the year, there's a friend of mine in the middle of the pandemic. He has a restaurant in Bray, and his head chef and the general manager in his restaurant make more money than he does. And he was saying, I'm paying more for those guys than I pay for myself. I don't know what I'm doing. And I said, whoa, well, that's reality. I know there are businesses out there, they could afford to make less money. Like a good example is McDonald's. McDonald's don't make money with food or having their brands. They make money with the rent of the property, with the person leasing their brand. But like now, I don't know if it's something to change to make sure people get fairly paid, because like people don't want to come to work anymore in the kitchen. I'm losing chefs to go to work in different trades just
Yeah.
because they look at look to make 450 or 500 euros a week, work my ass off here for 12 hours a day for like odd hours instead of working whatever a tech company to literally press buttons with a different kind of stress Monday to Friday 9 to 5. I prefer that. I'm gonna get less money, yes, but in the end of the day I will have less stress.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I think there's a variety of things that are wrong, in the industry, and gladly things are changing now, and after COVID, I think there was a wake up for everybody. But I think that and I understand and I agree with you when you say about the business itself, and it's practically impossible for the business to be paying everybody a high wage, and it's not sustainable and won't be sustainable. So I think that's why I say I think it's more political. I think that the government needs to intervene and help the society itself and the business. And this rent crisis, there's a lot of things that are piling up that are increasing the cost of living here. Inflation is like Europe's not used to deal with inflation as well.
the past,
I didn't even remember what inflation was, to be honest. Now I'm understanding again. I was like, okay, now I get it. Like and when you would go to the shop and do big shopping, because things were on sale, and you need to, because prices fluctuate so much back home that they can, that you come tomorrow and it will be more expensive, and they're feeling now how it is to deal with it here. So there's a variety of things that needs to change, and it's not just the business itself. And I don't point that out, that the business are the bad guys. I don't think that, I don't think at all that. I just think that that this it needs to be a fair game for everybody, for the business owner and for the employee.
Do you think like people nowadays, like they're asking for ridiculous money, and their expectations, like example the girls I just interviewed, do you think they are expecting something more than actually they should? They're worth it. In this case, like they want 14.50 per hour.
It's hard
with 5 months experience, literally, I can get anyone in the street passing across the road there and say, "Oh, whoa, come here." They can do the same job.
But in the other hand, you're not getting that person passing by.
Yeah, I know, but like my
so it's hard to put a price on a job. Okay, what I do understand and I do appreciate is chefing is a very hard job. Chefing is hard, is hardcore, is a lot of pressure, and it is hard work. So, do I think that chefs are underpaid? I don't know. I'm not too sure. But do I think that chefs work very hard for the money? Yes, they do.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes, you know, you've seen that and you know that yourself. And I'm not talking as a recruiter. I'm just, you know, coming from the industry. I've seen people, and even myself, I was working 80 hours a week. Was I get paid enough? So, you know, it depends. It's depends which shoes you are in and where you're looking at. So, you know, it's very tricky to put a price in a head. You know, I think people are realizing that cost of living here is increasing, and it is difficult now to live here in Ireland, especially as an immigrant myself, and I've seen things that I just don't think it's healthy for people. You know, students coming over and piling up in a house. We know a 2-bedroom house with 17 people living in it. I used to work. One of the guys that used to work in one of the restaurants, he was Brazilian, and he was telling me the story. You know, there were 17 in a house with 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom.
Whoa.
So, you know, unfortunately, reality is that's what they could afford.
And yeah, I come to the point of there are people subletting.
Yes.
You know, like they rent properties and put as many bodies possible there and tell them, shut up. The agency knows. They get their cut at the end of the month. You know, because they will not say to the owner they're renting their property for this end. And those guys deal with those people. One of the gentlemen working for me today, I was talking with him. He's bringing his family from Brazil. He has like a European passport, all the possible good things he has to come here. And he shares his house with another 6 people. And like I look, I say, oh my God! And he's bringing his family and get a different second room in the house, and he's literally paying a full rent. I said, do you know you could get a full rent? And they say yes, but I go to the places and there's another 20, 30 people trying to rent as well. So it's very difficult. But like at the end of the day, as I said, like who is paying the bill for increasing salaries? I don't know how we will be for the restaurants to keep profitable keep in the green. Let's say, like making money. Like now is the quiet times of the year. Until Christmas, and after Christmas until Paddy's Day is dead. You don't make money. You literally you lose money between brackets. And after that, after Paddy's Day, start to go up again. Nevertheless, what I'm trying to say here is those periods now like would be difficult, but like the only way to pay people better wages is if we increase prices. But if we increase prices, our sales will drop, because comparing 2019 to now, sales in restaurants are down about 20%, and the wages are up about 10 to 12%. You see, average, not.
It depends on what, like, you know,
where you are, but like average overall. That's what you see.
I don't think I see, like, everybody is saying that, you know, recession. I like, you know, I don't think that's the thing. I think
Ireland will not have a recession.
No, and people have money in Ireland, and they are spending money.
Not as 2019, I would say.
I think it's getting like very, very close, and I think like now Q4 is going to be a boom. I think, like, you know, everybody will go out and everybody will do, especially companies and everything, have, like, you know, Christmas parties, and I think we'll make it up. I don't see, you know, all, like, this is different businesses, and obviously you probably know more than myself there, but I do think that we are out of the main problem that was when COVID was. I think things are starting to normalize and revenues are coming back to what it was, and even better. Like a lot of people were saying that their sales are up, and I believe Q4 is going to increase.
Yeah, but Q1 2023 will be shite.
I don't know about that, I don't, like, you see, there's a lot of big companies coming over, a lot of people with money, and Q1 was always a challenge for the
always
hospitality.
Yeah, but like now with UK going with their economy in a very poor way, will be reflecting in for us here in Ireland. Always will affect us.
But if you think, like, with the Brexit, right? So everybody used to go to UK for as well. So it was divided between UK and Ireland for students to come over, and that fluctuates money in the common economy.
Yeah.
So with the Brexit, the tendency was to people from Europe all come over to Ireland to study English, especially over the summer. Unfortunately, now we go down again for the accommodation.
Yeah, house crisis.
And house crisis that are impacting. But if everything starts to work accordingly, I don't see why the hospitality are losing money. I don't think they are losing money anymore. I think it came back to a normality. And if you say Q1 is going to drop, Q1's always dropped.
Yeah, Q1 is the worst time of the year. Yes.
Q1 was always, and you know yourself, is always the time that the staff will take holidays, the staff are going to go away, and you try to drop your wages. That the way you control a little bit, but you've always been like that. You've always been. So I don't think that this. I think we are out of COVID, and a lot of people are still hiding behind COVID. As an excuse, So I think there is business closing, but there is business thriving.
Yes. Do you see as an opportunity now for your business going for Q1? Like now, I see this time of the year, at least for my part. I start to see like senior chefs stabilizing where they are. I'm calling loads of people are just like literally just checking around what's going on, calling, checking, getting. They're putting their CVs out there. The past 3 weeks, calling people, offering the job. After 2-3 days, they're using that as a scapegoat for where are they. To get a pay rise, and then when come out end of December, we are doing the same, trying to hold people as much as we can. But after December, I think we'll have a big migration of chefs again, because they pay their bills, everything's okay. They're the ones with family. They will stay until the March, anywhere they are, to make sure they pay their Christmas, because that's the normal. If they have little children, they will start to have the first communion, etc. So they kind of snowball. But for the single chefs coming in Ireland, or they are here in Ireland doing whatever they are doing, after December, I think you start to have that change. For you, I think it would be good. That happens a lot. How it works? You're gonna have that change on March. Between January and March. Sorry.
He always does, and I think like now it starts booming again before Christmas, and then December comes down a little bit because you have your team built up for Christmas, and then after Christmas movements start happening again. Is this a natural wave that happens in the business? But I'm glad and I'm so grateful that the Broadline Group is so successful, and I'm so successful what we're doing. That is something that I'm not concerned much about, because I do believe that there is always business to be made, and that there's always need out there, and it might not be in Dublin, it might be in other side of the country, but there's always people in need, and we always going to be there to help everybody. So I yes, it fluctuates, but if you're on top of your game, you always maintain.
Now with
On
you
top.
said about like we spoke about many things now, but like now you just said about the topic, just click in my head. We have a lot of people. There's no shortage of chefs, in my opinion. I post in the Facebook in my private page a couple of weeks ago looking for chefs, and I got over 50 CVs in a
I've
week.
seen that.
And I look and said, I couldn't handle. We had to do an open
That's
day.
why you hire me.
Yeah.
That's why you're talking to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, with the cost of living, I found people they're living like literally in the sticks, and they're applying for a job far away. And then I had one lady that was very interesting, because I was talking to her, and keeping back and forth. She's asking about the job. I said, "Yeah, I got a chef," and she said, "Where is the place?" I said, "West Dublin," as the job description
Right.
saying. And she came back to me and said, "Oh, it's a little bit far from where I live." I said, "Where do you live?" "I live West Cork." Like I got a baffle. I looked and said, "What? West Cork? It's 4 hours from here. Are you planning to move to Dublin or anything?" No. I was looking for any other jobs a little bit further so I could move or something. Doesn't make sense to me. But what I'm seeing now is chefs want to move out of Dublin to live in the outskirts. It's difficult because now it's majority of the chefs, they do not drive. I don't know, like that's my experience. I don't know for you if the majority of the chefs you have or you interview, they drive or not. If you do, please contact me tomorrow.
You see, like we can talk off
Yeah,
here
yeah,
and,
out of the scenes.
Yeah, out of the behind the scenes. We
Yeah,
talk
behind the
and-
scenes, yes.
And yeah, like you
But-
see, like, the thing is, right? So
Do you see more like that migration to the countryside, or is the opposite?
it's both sides. You get everything. So the difference between is you don't have time for that. You have a million other things to do, and that's why you come to me, because you don't have time, and you're gonna spend so much time screening CVs, talking to people. That's why exec head chefs and group head chefs and all the business owners, they end up coming to us, because I handle whatever you need specifically to what you're looking for, and I save you time. Time is money, you know, and you can improve so much stuff in the business that you might be losing time going through all the CVs and talking to people that are in West Cork that has nothing to do with your business.
Yeah, waste
you
my
still-
freaking time.
but
I
you
swear to
still
God.
you still probably lost 10-15 minutes talking to that person.
I think more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
So you know, and then that's where sometimes, you know, like people don't understand, and they tend to push the, you know, not going to agencies. But time is money. If you put all the time you spend on screening CVs and looking for chefs, you could be doing way more stuff with your team.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, and maybe you avoiding the agency for the cost of fee or whatever reason it is, that if you put on the paper, and you are a guy that loves maths, so if you put on paper the amount of time and the length of time you are spending on screening CVs and doing a job that it's not what you do or what you were what the
What
best
you're supposed
doing,
to do, yeah,
you
yeah.
know. And so so if you take that time and focus on the business itself and improving other sides of the business, and let someone that actually do that for living to help you, it makes your life much easier. That's why the majority of, you know, big groups and restaurants, when they start using agency, they don't stop, because they can see that saves so much time and
Oh, yeah, I
and
agree.
energy.
I agree, because like normally I spend at least 1 day a week minimum just in recruitment,
Yeah.
just calling people. And like the example when I put in the Facebook, That week I couldn't handle. After calling, I spent one full day just calling people and typing. Like their information, reading their CVs. Passed through about like 25, 29 CVs. Two of them was from Portugal. One of the gentlemen is Spanish, living in Portugal. He's coming this month to Ireland to do a trial for a week. And I said, I can't afford you to put you just for a trial. He said, no, it's for me. I want to see if I like. I said, okay. Are you okay to work for free? Okay, I can't do that legally. I would need to hire the guy if he starts.
Yeah.
But like, the guy is hungry. And I said, okay, that's a good sign for me. But nonetheless, it's like the lady in Cork. It's like a waste of my time.
Exactly.
And like, I don't know, like, what's the new trend? What's the next step for you guys in the recruitment to bring for us in the restaurants and the hotels and the catering business to say, look, that's what we're bringing, how we can be better for you and how to be better in the way of we are bringing the right people to do the right job. How you what's next for you guys to give us the best chef?
I heard you saying you spend probably 1 day a week, right? Minimum.
Yeah.
So if you
at
say
least 8 to 10 hours a week minimum.
So 8 to 10 hours a week. That's we're talking about around 40 hours a month. You a man very well paid on your job, and you deserve that. If you do the maths and break down your salary, how much money the company is wasting on you doing a job that you are not supposed to do.
Yeah, I could hire a full-time person just to do this job.
Exactly. So that's where we come. But hiring a person to do internal recruitment, it could not be as advantageous as people think, because you will hire people. The tendency is to hire people to certain level, and to be able to represent a salary in a payroll.
Yeah,
you need to have that turnover quite high, and that's not what you're looking for.
Yes.
You're looking for a lower turnover, so you don't spend energy and time training people and then they move on. So it's cheaper to come to agency than hire someone to do that. So it's more efficient to have agency in your company than actually have yourself wasting time and or have an internal recruiter, because the tendency.
So my question to you now is, if like I see, as I said in the beginning, there the HR and what do you do, right? And like the recruitment agency, I see two different ways to recruit the same person.
Okay.
You guys see a talent, and you work in that talent to fit in a broad line.
Yeah.
Like, and then we look at somebody and we try to narrow down the HR, or at least me. How many times I already used for the company I work for and the companies I worked before, and I tell them I want to have my own agency in the matters of get an agency chef or something of the kind. How we can accrue in the company as overall to hire 4 or 5 chefs. The company I work for, you as you know, we have over 1,000 people. So if I have 5 chefs, it's nothing. If I highly pay them and pay whatever it need to be, and say area chef, and say, look, I don't need chefs anymore there because I have everyone is hired. All the restaurants are fully covered. What I do with those chefs now? And then that's the problem I think the company is seeing. But like, I don't know, like how we can do the, because I see is not almost opposites, but what you do versus HR. What HRs and yourself, you guys could get closer to each other to try to get that in a better or more sustainable way in the future.
We do work together with HR, obviously. On my understanding, we do a bit of a different type of work. As recruiters, we are there to provide a service, and we are there to find that person, and obviously we are paid to do that. So we motivate ourselves to actually do that job, right? The HR, they'll be involved in different side of the business. They will be involved in internal issues and contracts and other things that take, again, time off their hands to be fully focused on recruitment. So the tendency is like most HRs and big companies, they reach out to us to help them in the recruitment process, because it's time consuming to recruit, and,
like I agree. Like if you pass through 100 CVs, let's say ever 100 people pass through your hands, how many actually go to the final job or like get hired in a productive way, let's say? Because what I see is HR, like myself, from that 50 CVs I went through it, I hired 2 people. So I spent tons of hours interviewing, sitting down, talk to people, blah 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 blah, to hire 2 people.
So
you have a proportion, or like
there is a conversion
number
rate. Yeah,
you do have.
We do have. Obviously, essentially, our job is it's sales, so it is. We have all analytics to the sales side of things. There is a conversion rate. I think that varies with experience, and the more experience you get, the better you get on screening people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying when in a judgmental way. I'm saying in a professional way. You're trying to understand more, and you understand more your clients as well, what their needs are. So you were more focused on that specific role, and the type of person that you need to find for that particular role. So if I have, for instance, 50 CVs, I'll narrow them down throughout calling and screening those CVs. But because that's what we do for a living. I spend hours and hours and hours on the phone talking to people. So you develop this understanding and screening process, and you polish that skill so much every day. So if you get 50 CVs, or let's say 100 to round it up, you would have a better chance of hire people higher than I would do. I believe, right? That's what we do. So we are experts on what we do, and obviously, with all due respect, I'm not saying that we like. I would be better than you doing that job, but
you do that.
That's what we do every day. So if I go to a kitchen, I wouldn't be able to do what you do.
If I do whatever you do every day, if I do better than you, something's wrong.
And exactly, So it's not about you see. The conversion rate that you want to see is not about the 100 CVs that you get, but is the amount of people you narrow down, and those people that you narrow down. So how many people you manage to help? All right.
And from those people, let's say ever 100 people, if you manage to employ 10 of them, what's their chance to succeed in the job you gave to them is high or something?
We obviously
50-50?
It's a very tricky question, because obviously that it's when you're dealing with the human factor, it's very tricky, right? So and it comes out of our hands. Then we do our best to help.
But, I do understand, but afterwards is a 50-50 chance, is like a toss of a coin.
I don't. So
is higher
so
than
put
50-50.
It's very very as I said, it's a tricky question. So I can say about myself, for example, right? Out of my placements, I probably had, let's say, from the, like, I can't remember now, from 6 months, the whole year. I wouldn't know the number because I tend to pass it on, and I have a high numbers that I'm placing. So I would say, let's say for the past 2 months, right, I had one rebate, one person that didn't work out.
Okay.
And,
How many?
For around 60.
60. Okay,
16.
not bad. 16.
Yeah.
All right, not bad. So is a rate of
but-
like 10%?
but-
Less than 10% is
but
about
again,
like.
But again, it can change in a month. So it depends. You see, what it's most important is that this is a natural part of the game. Okay.
Oh
so,
yeah, no, it's natural in your side, but like what I'm trying to reach here is, I don't know if there's any HR in our industry here, because in my opinion is HR in companies are like public service. They're very slow and like just moving that way. Because you depend your job and your depend on make the things happen fast because people need now. It's like us as a chef. If the order come in, somebody's hungry outside and they want the food now. If I say we'll get half an hour to make you a Caesar salad, you say, are you taking a piece of me? You know, like the salad gets literally 5 minutes, 8 minutes maximum, not half an hour.
Yeah, you need to do things in a timely manner.
Yeah, so I feel like you guys in your trade are way more responsive than HRs. And if HRs start to get as fast as you guys do, you guys will do something to be way faster than they are. You know, because that's how the industry works.
Yeah, but again, you know, I don't like, you know, I don't like to point fingers or anything. I think every profession has their own challenges and everything. And again, you know, I understand your point clearly. And but what I would say to you, it's again, we do different style of work. We have different. Let's put it as a responsibility, let's say. So, for instance, you said your company has 1,000 employees.
Oh,
right?
over about 1,000. Like 1,500, something like that.
Okay,
yeah.
so
12 to 15.
So
I'm not sure.
Imagine out of 1,500, you have under yourself 200, 300, or whatever number it is, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about on your side, on these perhaps 200, right? Out of these 200, how many problems gets to you? Quite a lot.
Yes.
So out of this 1,500, imagine the magnitude of problems that goes to HR.
Oh,
so in just saying that it's you know, it's different style of job. So they need to deal with different situations that we want.
And then come to the part you said it like a couple of minutes ago, like I have just under my umbrella the time I spend per year just look after HR recruitment,
yeah.
I could hire someone to do that job. Literally, if you see the time I spend doing this, our HR, we have like 4 or 5 people there. If I myself and the other executive chef in the group could hire 2 more people to do that job for us to not do this job, okay, let's put 1 just to do literally what you guys do. I agree they will not do what you guys do in the same quality you guys do, because that's what your business is
That's what
about
we do,
it.
exactly.
But what I'm trying to say here is how we in the companies can do your life easier, or how we can do to minimize that gap, because HR is a thing in a different way,
Well,
not the way you guys think.
Well, like obviously that there's no again, like we are different, HR and recruitment. It's they will work alongside, but they wouldn't be the same. And we are more effectively, no, I wouldn't say efficient, but effectively, because that's what we do for a living. So we are specializing recruitment. That's what we do. That's the passion we have, is to help people and help businesses and help candidates to find the right job and be proud of what happened in the future, and move and maintain that connection with people, and they move on and they grow in the company, and we maintain that connection. So we're passionate about recruitment. We only do recruitment, and I think when your business is focused on one thing, obviously that business became specialized in that, and we are very successful in what we do. But I don't think that the HR are not doing their job. They are obviously doing their job. It's just different. That I think to minimize that gap is work more efficiently together, I think, in that
Why
sense.
HR in any company, they don't have a recruitment agent?
I don't know why, and I'm glad that I don't. So we still have, the company, and still have a job. But even if they do,
because that's the part I'm saying. Like they don't
you
do
can't-
what you guys do.
it
I don't
depends.
understand why.
It depends, but it's very hard to understand, because it, as I said, it's different jobs. So you don't, like, it's the same what you're doing, spending 40 hours plus a week, a month, doing HR. It's just something that you don't do. Not HR, recruitment.
Recruitment.
It's something that you're not specialized in it. So you do because you want to cut cost, and you want to trying to minimize your wage cost and your cost. So you do yourself. But realistically speaking, if you put on paper, and you even said that, if you put on paper, it's cheaper for you to hire me and get the right person, because you can improve so much more in the business on those 40 hours that will justify what you're paying the agency for.
Yes.
So it's just a conjunction of things. I think the key thing is not about having someone in a company that will do that job, is understanding that every part of the business is important, and every partner with the company is important, and everyone that plays a role in the business is important. So I think it's more educating people on that side, So if you educate yourself and analyze and see, you will understand that bringing a partner into the group that will help in the lack of staff that you have in now, and fulfill those roles that they're not able to do themselves, is beneficial.
But in your industry, or what do you do for living, you just look specifically chefs, or you look like, let's say, bar staff or managers or something like that, or you're just specialized in chefs?
So we are a group. The broad line.
Yeah, broadline look after everything, but I'm saying about
myself.
Yourself.
I
Yes.
only do chefs.
All right.
I only recruit for chefs.
Okay, better. Yeah. When you said do chefs, I was a little bit worried. I was like, oh my god, what am I doing here?
I only recruit chefs. So I only deal with chefs. That's where Chef Recruiters is specialized in chefs. So then we have two sides of the business. we have the relief and the agency chefs,
Yeah.
and then you have the permanent role. So I'll be in charge of all the permanent roles in Chef Recruiters. I'll work alongside with my manager David, and he would do perms as well, but he more focus on the relief work and the agency chefs.
Yeah.
But we only work with chefs.
How many people you deal a month?
I wouldn't know the number, to be honest.
Hundreds?
A lot.
Thousands?
A lot. A lot. I talk with a lot of people, and that goes to both sides, clients and candidates and everything.
Wow.
It's a lot of people we deal with. But I love it. I love it. I think I love to talk to people. I love to understand people and listen to their stories and see their growth. Like in the agency there, the one of the things that you're pointing out, that how, like, if we touch again in the subject that you're saying about minimize the rebate, the people that leave the company, how we minimize that is we maintain contact with both sides. So for a period of 12 weeks, we still in contact with that person. So we talk to them and see how things are going, and see if there is any issue. If any issue arise, we try to help in a sense. Obviously, we do not get involved in any operation side, but we try to see if we could help, and we do our best. And if it don't happen, then we try to replace that candidate. So we want to do business long term. We don't want just ones off. We are like very established brand, and we want to maintain a relationship long term. So that's the way we minimize. And I think having successful people working in the company makes it easier to do so, because
that's very good for your brand as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like obviously, like we want to be like, and we are the best at the market, and we are a premium brand, so we want to maintain that level of service, and then sometimes, we don't work with some candidates for that reason, because we just don't want to represent people that we know is not going to be good. Do
you have a lot of people pass through your hands that you look and say, oh, okay, that you look and say, oh no, that guy is very dodgy, I will not touch him?
There's a few people that, like, we go through, and we see, and the stories don't add up.
Really?
And yeah, when the stories and we have experience in screening people and talking to people, and when we see that, we won't work with that person.
Do you have any funny stories?
I wouldn't have that much funny stories to share, to be honest. It's like we work very confidential with clients, so it's a very, very tricky subject to touch, but I can put that away. We come across quite few interesting situations, but in that situation, obviously we do our job as best as we can, and we would do references, and when if we forget one bad reference, or obviously a reference that doesn't match, or we don't work with that.
How many references do you normally go through for one candidate?
The minimum we have is 2.
Minimum is 2,
yeah. So to be able to work with that candidate, we always have 2 good references, and let's say perhaps, and this could happen, you don't leave in bad terms in the place, but sometimes you leave the place in a situation that, like, there is hard feelings from chefs, and you know yourself how that works, and they might give you not a good reference, and that's where, like, as well, our experience will come on board, and we know we have key questions that we ask as well on that scenario. So we kind of know, you know, when that is a malicious one, and it's not genuine. So we will do the third one if it needs to be the fourth one.
Like, not by law, but like, you can't give bad reference. You know. Like, if somebody call me today and say, Ricardo, give me a reference of Raphael. If you're good, I'll give a good reference straight away. But if it's a bad reference, let's say use your name as a reference, as a example.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you used to be a terrible chef.
I was actually.
Really?
So it's not too bad.
I would normally, if I had happened twice in my entire career, somebody called for a reference for somebody not really good, and
I was going to say for a reference, I was like, the two was probably me, because I called you for a few.
I would just say, look, I will not comment in that person reference. Normally, I would just say, look, I will not comment. I think that's a kind of straight away for or for anybody else calling.
It's a red light.
Yeah, it's a red light, because I can't legally, I can't say if somebody put fire in the restaurant or whatever happens, I can't go and say that person was bad legally.
Yeah, no, but it's not in the sense.
Like, how you read when people.
So it's what about, like, we do a questionnaire and rating, you know. So you do a rating. That you know, you're just describing that person skills and time keeping attendance and stuff like that, and most of the time, you know, we work in the industry, and we know people, and you know when that person is not necessarily good, you know, like the way the reference comes along.
Where is the score you got? What's the score you want to have your chefs when you recruit them? 80%, 70%?
I tend to do mostly 100%. That is where.
Whoa!
So, like, it
so
would
they
have
need
a
really good.
They need to go good score.
How you break the news? Somebody call you and say, "Look, I want you to represent me for whatever." Like, when you apply in the broad line and say, "Here's my CV," and you start to do the background check, and you go back to that person and say, "Look, we will not represent you," or how it works. The process.
We always tend to, like, I personally always tend to be very honest and transparent with the candidates, and obviously there is always a fine line, and as I said, we work a lot on confidentiality, so we don't want to break that confidentiality in both sides, but we tend to have a nice and open conversation with that candidate without disclosing any information. So
example. Sorry. Normally the guests do this. Not me. It's the wine. I blame the wine.
Was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one. I blame you. So, I blame Raphael. So normally, what I would say is, if I apply and put their broad line, and when you represent me, send my CV, and you do, the first step is called the reference, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
the first step. So you apply for a role. We do a screening call first.
You call me first.
I will call you first.
So it was lovely, because I'm amazing, of course. And then the second call is
an interview.
Reference.
No, we interview that person.
All right. So I'm still amazing because I'm amazing. And the third step is?
So the third step will be reference. So we do an interview, get references, and then once I have you compliant and
let's say you call my reference and both of them come and said, "Don't touch him. He's awful. He's crazy Brazilian, like peanuts. Don't touch him." So that is a red flag for you.
I wouldn't. Yeah, then I wouldn't. I wouldn't represent you.
And then
so
how
I
you
would-
would break that news to me?
it depends on each case, and
Yeah.
we will have as I said, an honest and open conversation without disclosing any information to the candidate. That's we try to be very sensitive.
But what
about
you would
that.
tell me in this situation, because
It
it's very
depends on
delicate.
it depends on the particular case. It depends on how that came about and how that reference came and how was everything. So it's very specific. So I will always try to be as sensitive as possible, but in a way just inform that I wouldn't be able to represent you to any clients, and I wouldn't would wish you all the success and hope you the best. But unfortunately, for company policy, we wouldn't be able to represent you. So
Shit. I think we need to keep being a podcaster.
That's it.
Oh
That's
my
it.
God.
You need to do more episodes, I believe.
Raphael, thank you very much. It
thank
was
you very
lovely
much,
to have
Ricardo.
you here. It was
Thank you.
great.
Appreciate it.
I hope you guys liked the usual, follow, listen, and share. And that's when the wine starts kicking and I forget all the things that I need to say. The management tell me, Ricardo, you need to say this, put emojis. My main problem when I post stuff now is put emojis.
Put emojis on
I
it.
always forget, and then after I start to post the things, oh shoot, I should put emojis. Yeah, I'm a millennial. Sorry, I'm not like Generation Z or whatever
Yeah.
it is those days. So thank you very much. Please follow us, and see you in the next episode of Foodcast. Thank you.
Thank you.